hi, this is Paula, and we are coming from Ties That Bind, and our subject today is bringing Daddy back home. We have James and Tiffany. Tiffany we have how do you say, what do we do? We indoctrinated her, James. She is now a full-fledged co-host. So we have James and Tiffany as our co-hosts. And Tiffany, we're going to continue this week on, we started last week on the finances. She's going to finish I think we finished it last week, but she's going to finish her subject. And this one is about bringing our daddies back home. And so I'm going to turn it over to James and Tiffany, and they can say hello and speak to you, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. I'm James Miller, and pretty much my goal here is to use myself as a tool to pretty much bridge the gap between the differences in our families and also in our communities. We'll one day see that our problems are pretty much more the same than different altogether, and then we'll finally get a chance to come together, kind of like we're doing tonight.
Yes, I agree.
All right. Hello, friends and family. This is Tiffany, and I am here because as my title of this series says, I want to heal our community starting at the family and working out to the community at large. So our goal is to bring building blocks that we can use to help develop and build our family and repair those problems that we've been having in the past and currently.
Yes. I agree. And so we're going to start with bringing Daddy back home. And I really wanted to, we were talking about healing the community. This was part of healing our community and then bringing Daddy back home. And how have we spoken about how to heal the community? Have we spoken about that?
Well, all these subjects kind of go together as my idea of what it would take to heal the community and heal the family. Mm-hmm. So these subjects are financial. So covering the financial aspect, covering bringing fathers back into the household, and then going forward to talk about the other subjects. Those all together are my idea of healing the community.
Okay, so we're not talking about the hurt and all that stuff, but it's incorporated in everything there. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're gonna turn the subject over to you because you have the floor.
Okay, so as we discussed, today's topic is going to be bringing Daddy back home, bringing Black fathers back into the household. First thing I'm going to start with is I'm going to read. Well, I'm not going to read. I'm just going to kind of pick from what is known as the Moynihan Report. In 1965, Daniel Moynihan made a report. He examined the link between Black poverty and the Black family structure. What he decided from that was that the destruction of the Black nuclear family would hinder further progress toward economic and political equality. He wrote at that time that the oncoming destruction of the Black family out-of-wedlock birth rate was 25% among Blacks. In 1991, 68% of Black children were born outside of marriage. And in 2011, 72% of Black babies were born to unwed mothers. So as you can see, the epidemic is growing. The problem is getting bigger and getting worse. So I just want to talk about some things that we can do to close that gap, so to speak.
Okay. Okay. And we're going to start with what today?
We're going to start. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to come to you with a scripture. I like to keep everything based in scripture. So the first thing we're going to talk about, I'm going to be reading from Titus. And if you guys are looking at the notes that we did, if you click on the word modeling, I see James is already there, you can see where I'm going to be reading from. This is Titus 2, verses 2 through 8. So Titus chapter 2, 2 through 8. And, of course, I'm taking out of the NIV. All right, so verse 2. Teach the older men to be temperate, worthy of respect, self-controlled, and sound in faith, in love and endurance. Likewise, teach the older women to be reverent in the way they live, not to be slanderers or addicted to much wine, but to teach what is good. Then they can urge your younger women to love their husbands and children, to be self-controlled and pure, to be busy at home, to be kind, and to be subject to their husbands so that no one will malign the word of God. Similarly, encourage the young men to be self-controlled. In everything, set them an example by doing what is good. In your teaching, show integrity, seriousness, and soundness of speech that cannot be condemned, so that those who oppose you may be ashamed because they have nothing bad to say about us. All right, so that so I want to go ahead and start with, and these are just some ideas. I just want to hear your guys' take on it. Basically, I'm just going to bring you some ideas, and you just tell me what you think. We'll just kind of discuss it. And just same as last time, just kind of bat these ideas around. So this is coming from an article called 10 Rules for Raising Black Boys. It was written by M. Simone Boyd, and I found this on blackandmarriedwithkids.com. They have a blog site. It's a black married couple that blogs. So this is where I'm drawing this from. So one of the rules that they have for raising black boys and girls is to be the parent. Okay, be the parent. A lot of times you see a lot of parents are afraid to discipline their children, to tell their children what to do. They pretty much let them run wild all day long. They don't have any rules. There's no structure. No one's telling them stop. No one's telling them go. And children need and desire structure. So what are you guys' opinions? Yes, in order. What are your opinions on that?
James, do you want me to go? Or?
Yeah, go ahead, go.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I see, like I was talking about last week, this is just one example because Dr. Phil everybody's been watching the show, and I don't know what, it was almost as though they thought it was okay. But I've seen several parents come on there, and it's almost as though they want somebody else to raise their kids for them. And and I saw, I don't want to get ahead of what we were talking about, but yes, I do agree with that, because the children they're looking for guidance, because you don't know which way to go. You don't know what to say or what people are expecting from you. And so a lot of times that you need to be together before you start to raise children. And if you do, you need to start to get yourself together, because you can't raise a child while you're trying to raise yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. Being a parent is first and foremost the biggest thing within the community, and nowadays we're having a lot of younger parents who have kids, and again they're trying to still go out, party, and hang out, and ditch their kids off to somebody else for them to kind of take care of them while they go and do their thing.
Exactly. Or leave them at home.
So, yeah, exactly. Or they just leave them at home. So these kids are pretty much raising themselves, or they're going into multiple households, picking up different things from different houses and not knowing what are the key values within their own home.
Exactly. I agree.
Exactly. Yeah, actually, from my experience as a drill sergeant, for y'all that do not know, I'm in the military, and I spent 2 years of my career as a drill sergeant. So when you send your boy or girl off into the world, they come to me, and from my experience, I've had a lot of 18, 19, 20, even up to 25-year-old kids, and I say kids loosely, but that have no idea how to do anything. I've had to teach girls how to clean their bodies. I've had to teach them how to do their laundry because they don't have any idea. Like, no one ever taught them how to adult. Like, adulting is like that's kind of the new phrase you see kicked around. People talk about how hard it is to adulting. And people are not raising their children to have these basic skills. They're not seeing their mom or dad taking care of the house, or they're not seeing their mom or dad going off to work. They're just kind of in the television or in the video game, and they're checked out, and no one's giving them that guidance. So then they come to me or someone like me, and it's like we have to, in 9 weeks' time, raise them from child to adult and teach them how to be a soldier at the same time. So
you're saying that But I don't want to interrupt you, but when you said that they're trying to raise themselves, or they don't see the parents doing X, Y, Z, it's because parents aren't talking to them. I have, and I reference because I don't have kids, and because I really very seldom have children. But since I have moved here, the one constant that I've had, and I see it as him being a dad, but you got to talk to your children. You got to tell them what you expect from them. You know, they are confused because they're confused with the society telling you and people looking at them and expecting something. You know when someone is expecting something from you, and that's confusing. I know I have dealt with that when I was a child, and then the parents don't teach you that. And so if the parents, it's not just, they say what, 60% of what you learn is by what you see. Yes, that's true. But then you got to talk to them as well. So on that, I totally agree. And when you said that, it just did something to me. I had to say something about that.
No, of course. Of course. So the next thing I want to talk about, well, let me add this, because we're talking about bringing fathers back home, and I want to talk about just how important this part is, being a parent, being that model. Because what a lot of men these days are losing is the fact that you're teaching your daughter what type of man to choose by how you treat her mother.
Exactly.
And if you're not modeling what it is to be a good husband and a good steward as a good husband, when she goes off into the world, my daughter's looking at me right now. I'm talking to you, little girl. When she goes off into the world, she's going to pick the man that you are. That's who she's going to pick. So if you're absent, if you're abusive, if you're a drunk, those are the attributes that are going to be attracted to her. That's what she's going to be attracted. Exactly, and she's going to be attracted to that. And the same thing for women. You know, you have to, if you're walking around and you don't have any clothes on, you got your whole butt hanging out and your chest hanging out. That's what you taught her. So when she turns 13, 14, and she starts smelling herself and starts thinking that she, is grown, what do you think she's going to do? If that's what you've shown her, what do you think she's going to do?
Exactly. I agree with that. Because I think if people think that parenting is like a process of osmosis, it doesn't work like that. You have to do this on purpose. I know when I first got here and I was in the radio station, a lot of times I would go out to talk to people, and I would see like 5 and 6 years old. I know you take your children every now and then. You just want to do a day of pampering for your little girl, so they'll know, so they can get there. But this little girl was 5 years old. She was in preschool. They put what do you call those things? Acrylic nails on her fingers. I'm thinking, what the? And I'm sitting there looking, and I'm like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to keep it to myself. I'm going to keep it to yourself. And I was just like, where's your mom, sweetie? She's over there. Mama was over there getting her nails done. And I was just like, so are you going to cut her nails? I mean, they were too long for me to even want. And I'm thinking, oh, my God. But she thinks that's sexy. She thinks that's what girls are supposed to at that age. And I'm just like, I said, baby, you going to cut your nails? No. I get them like this all the time. I'm just like, oh, my God, Jesus. And so my mouth, I mean, it was like I'm like a pressure cooker. If I keep it to myself too long, it's coming out. And I was just like, and so the mom came over and she was saying stuff, and she was like, it was cute. And I didn't know the grandmother was there too. Oh my God!
That speaks to what James was talking about. How parents are becoming parents much younger. So, Mama became a mother at a young age, and then her child became a young mother at a young age. So now you got 3 generations that are under 35 that are all in the nail salon. Getting their nails done. And
oh my God!
I'm trying to be cute.
I'm trying to be cute, but they don't know what in the
I'm trying to be cute.
Well, let me finish. Not only was she doing with her nails, was she getting acrylic long nails. She had a head full of weaves. and it was down her back. And I was just like, oh, Jesus. And so, okay, I just started talking. I didn't care who heard me. I was waiting for somebody to hear me or to say something or to, and I was just like, and I said, well, baby, I said, that's a little long. I said, what are you going to do when you get to school? I said, how are you going to write? How are you going to, and she was just like, well, I mean, my mom said something. I said, but that's not cute. I said, that's really not cute. I said, you want to be a little girl. I said, you want to be able to do blah, blah, blah. And I was talking, and then the grandma chimes in. I've been telling her mama this. I'm just like, but you sitting up in here with her, and you let it happen. And I said, okay. And I just don't believe in children getting long nails like that. And I was like, okay. But nobody, but it's just everything going around, but the blood doesn't stop you. So I'm going to say that because I was freaked out. And I got on the radio, and I was talking about it. And guess what? It's a whole generation of people doing the same thing. And I was like, oh, Lord. I was like, and they thought it was okay. I was like, that's not cute. You want your children to be children as long as they can be children. Because when you're adults, you would if you were a child again. And so I'm going to stop. Because that just freaked me out. I'm still freaking out on that same situation. When you said that, I didn't even think about it until just now. I just wiped it out of my mind because I couldn't believe it. But go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, it's very important. And so now they're modeling that behavior to her, and she's looking around. If they don't break that cycle, she'll be in there, and it'll be 4 generations under 45 in the nail salon all doing the same thing. And it's not to speak against.
It was wrong. 5 years
I'm sorry. This is not to speak against young mothers, because of course life happens and people have babies at a young age, but you have to realize that you have even more responsibility as a mother and as a father to model what right looks like. You got to do your work and your homework right alongside your child, so when it comes to be their turn, they don't make those same choices.
Right.
So next thing I want to talk about is teach respect and etiquette. This is very, very important. I remember when we were kids, my mom used to force us to say yes and no, ma'am, after every sentence, and it would drive me crazy. And I rebelled. Because I did too. I mean, looking back, she started a little bit late with us. Like, that's something that should have been happening, from the cradle. You model that from the cradle. It started a little bit late. That's neither here nor there. We're not judging or anything, but I'm just saying I rebelled against it. But I see and I understand why it's important, because, I've had plenty of little kids that I wanted to knock upside their little heads. They walk up to me talking to me like I'm their peer. Yeah. And I'm like, child, I'm pushing 40. Don't come up to me talking to me like you can run me. That's not how it works.
Yes. And that's oh my God. You are one, you preaching to the choir. 2, I remember when I was in Dallas and we had she was a Caucasian lady and she had her little child. She would bring her. She was the boss, and she brought the child to work. And I remember she said something, and she said, "Paula, this is like, did this girl just call me?" I mean, she was like, I think she was like 11 years old. Call me Paula, and I was just like, and I didn't realize that at that point it wasn't what she said; it was the way she said it. Like I was her. We won't go there, and so I was just like, I said, listen, I said, she kept on, and I'm thinking in my mind, her mother's the boss, so I'm gonna handle this, And then she came in and she wanted a movie that was there in the thing. She wanted to, and it was an adult. It was a rated R with language and all this stuff that was in the. I was just like, no. I said, you don't watch rated R movies. I said, you're too young to watch rated R movies. Well, my mom lets me watch it. I've watched it before, and blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, oh, this chick, I'm gonna choke her. But I didn't say anything, and she kept on and kept on. And I said, I'm gonna tell you this because she's talking to me like we're cohorts or something. And I'm just like, okay. I said, well, if your mother wants you to take this movie, I said, your mother is going to have to come to me. Well, I'm just going to take it. I said, no, you won't. I said, you are a child. And I said, first and foremost, you call me Miss Paula. I said, we're gonna get this together right now, because at this point I'm really frustrated with her, and I'm just like, so you go, and then she looked at me like, what? I said, and I wanted to say, if you go and sit your little A down, but I was very, whatever. And that when you see this, you really do. You want to just take them, and when they walk past you, just kick your foot out and just let them fall on the floor or something. It's just like, stop
I can tell you that the number of children who I contemplated sticking my foot out on.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
I mean, that's very important though, and just like we were talking about earlier, kids do model what they see, and that a lot of that, of course, is on the parent and how they're raising the kid. So if you want to be able to teach them respect and good etiquette, you have to show that out when you're out about as well. So that's one thing that I do remember about my mom and even all my aunts and everybody, right? And maybe this is more of a down south thing, and I think it is, because up here in the DMV, you don't get a lot of that. But everywhere they went, even when even our parents would go to the elders and say yes ma'am, no ma'am, to them, and always show them that type of respect. So and when you get older, you see that gets you a long way. Even now, when I speak to people here, and you say, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, you see that it brings a change upon people, and it actually humbles them a little bit when they're around you. Because you see me, I'm a 6'3" guy, with locks in my head, and then they get a response like that. It's something that's really uncommon, for them, and what they actually think of me. Right.
No, it's not respected. That's right.
Right. So it's very uncommon. So that's one of the main things. Do things around your kids that you want them to do, because they're not just going to do what you say. They're going to do what you do.
Exactly. Because we don't know. And this is, have you ever watched what is the name of that? American Medicine?
Yeah.
And they had a fit because Dr. Heavenly was calling her husband daddy. It's just like, okay, when did that become a problem? Because I grew up calling my dad daddy. But she did it so that we wouldn't be calling him by his first name. So that we knew they call him daddy. And it's just like, what is that? And you're getting divorced. Okay, so something is wrong somewhere.
Right.
Yeah. I agree with that. I am totally wholeheartedly. And, it's okay, I'm going to stop, because that boggles my mind, why people think that they can act a certain way, but then they will get a different response. If you keep acting stupid, you're going to get stupidity.
You're going to get treated stupid, exactly. And people, that whole common sense thing is just lost on people these days. But, yeah, you're right, James, and especially considering the father who's the spiritual head of the household, you have to first of all, you got to be willing to take that role. You're the spiritual head of the household, and it's not optional. Whether you choose to take the reign or not, you're still the spiritual head of the household. If you're not modeling that for the family, then it's going to be another generation that is lost on.
Yes, that's true. And that's true. And you, I mean, go ahead. I'm going to stop, because there's more.
No, it's fine. I mean, all this stuff ties in. It's fine. This actually ties very closely into the next talking point, which is setting high standards. As the head of the household, these fathers that are present, you have to set that standard. Like James was saying, children are going to do what they see you do. The Bible says that show your children the way that they should go, and when they become grown, they'll never part from it.
That's true.
Yeah. So, I go ahead
true.
And sure. Yeah.
No, I was. Oh, you talking to me or James?
Yeah. You were going to say something, and I was just going to give the next point, because we're kind of bleeding into it anyway. So I just wanted to give the next point.
Yeah, I was just thinking, it's fathers have, James had said something, and I was going with what he had just said. about fathers. Fathers are shirking their responsibilities. And I was going into Ephesians, and it tells you, and you wonder why these children are upset and angry. And the Bible teaches you not to, to teach your children wrath, not to give them wrath or something. You make them angry, and they're angry because the dads are not there. And if they're there, they're not participating. And if they're participating, it's you're doing it in a manner that's not becoming of an adult or a grown man with his children. You are at this point, you have become responsible to your children. And I remember when I met Tank, and I keep calling him on there, but my goal was, I'm going to travel the world, and I don't want to see any children, and I don't want to get married until I don't want to leave my dad's house with them telling me what I should be doing, to go to some man's house and then him tell me what to do and blah, 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 blah. I wanted to find out who I was because I didn't know who I was. And I never met anybody till I met him that I remember him saying, I always wanted children, and I'm a dad, and I'm just like, okay, I never looked at it from that point. From the beginning, that was his goal, was to have children, and it didn't even matter. He's divorced now, but his goal was to raise his children. And I remember when I was at his house, and his oldest son and his children are like 5'6" to 5'7", and they're these big guys, these big boys, and I'm sitting there, and he's got one daughter, and I'm just like, okay. And one of them was the middle son, or the second son, Thomas. He had sat down. Hello? Yes, you talking to me?
Breaking up. Yeah, you broke up a little bit.
Oh, can you hear me? Is
yes.
that better? Okay. He had sat down to eat, and I just so happened to see him sit down, and the first thing he did was bow his head and pray over his food. And that had to be something that was put in him by his dad. That was something.
And from his childhood, you said he was like 5, 7 now. How old is he?
At that time, I think he was like, at that time he had to be like 15, 16. Yeah.
Wow,
and
that speaks volumes. I said that speaks volumes.
Yeah, especially at that age. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, that is, and I had to, that next day when I saw him, my thing was to let him know, I saw you, and I respect the fact that you gave reverence to God. And that's what you're supposed to be. Ephesians 6:4 tells you that's what the father is supposed to be doing for his children. So I just had to say that. I don't even know how I got onto that, but yeah, I'm with you.
No, you're fine. So setting high standards. So what does that look like today? Like for fathers and mothers today, what does it look like to set high standards? There's lots of things, and we'll start with the simplest things first. Outer appearance. I watched I watched a video on Facebook. This dude he basically was doing a cheer on a woman wearing her bonnet out in public. And look, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, but usually you can take a minute to get yourself together before you come out of the house. It's something to be said for somebody who takes just a couple minutes to put some effort into how they look. My husband, when we were early in our marriage, he used to always say, you always dress up and this and that and the other. I honestly don't even buy, baggy shorts and sweatpants. I don't own it because when I go out, I don't wear that. I wear regular clothes. I get up in the morning and I put regular clothes on. I don't put on a baggy T-shirt or whatever I slept in the night before.
Right.
Because it matters to me how I present myself to the world, and people treat you differently according to how you present yourself to the world. And that's something that you should be teaching your children. We already talked about how to talk to people. Well, rendering proper respect when you talk to elder people, just giving people courtesy. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a mother in front of her children cussing out a cashier or cussing out an attendant at a like a retail store, at Walmart, just acting crazy, just acting a fool in front of you, and you got these little kids that are just looking with wide eyes, just taking all that in.
Yes.
You got to want more for yourself and want more for your baby.
And you got to know that they're watching you. You got to know, but it's just like we're not even paying any attention. It's just like, oh, I think that's cute. I see people now. This drives me insane because they don't know how. To me, certain things were just taught to you from. We got it at home. We got it before we went to school, and then when you got to school, they reiterated what you were getting at your house. And they don't even know, these people, I see grown women in there in a customer service job, and they don't know how to speak to people. They don't know how to smile. You know, I said, I was in some place, and the lady was standing in there, and I said, and I smiled at her. I spoke to her because she didn't speak to me. But I'm sitting here giving my money. And I said something to her. I said, well, because you weren't smiling, because you didn't look, so I just wanted to see if you were okay. And she's saying this with a nasty look on her face, with a nasty attitude, and I don't even think she even knew the difference. She thought it was cute. I'm always positive. I'm just like, I said, well, sister, I'm going to tell you, I walked up, and you were talking to another employee here, and you never spoke to me. I said, that's all I'm saying. I just wanted to just speak to you and smile and let you know that it's okay. But she wasn't trying to hear that, and she just kept on. And I'm just like, okay. And that's another one I want to keep the kid from underneath.
And the sad thing is, because of this, the way things are these days, where everybody's got a camera out, everything's on YouTube and on Instagram and everything. They would have kept going until the police showed up.
Yes. And they have no clue, because if you can't get respect until you give it. And I think they don't even know. They'll say respect, R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Find out what it means. Okay, whatever. But do you know what that means? You have no idea. That you can't expect something from someone that you're not giving. And I remember when that little girl, and the police officers step over bounds all the time. But my thing was on the radio station was, when we were talking about it, I said, I was talking about this, and I said, this is happening. And I said, but we can say this. The little girl, I'm talking about it, and then you don't know what I'm talking about. The police officer, the little girl was at school, and the teacher asked her to put her phone away. First and foremost, my parents would have taken that from me before I left the house. First and foremost. Right. That's not something. And she refused. So the teacher, being ignorant, called the police. The police, being ignorant on top of the ignorant, came in, and he pulled the child out the desk, and because he kept asking her, and she refused, even with the police, to give up her phone. And he cold-cagged her and to the floor. She was wrong. But you can't unring the bell. And my thing was, one, her parents didn't teach her respect, because she should have known, and maybe she didn't have anyone that she would call and say, Mama, they did this to me. Because when something happened to me at school, we knew to keep our mouth shut. And if it was out of order, we knew to tell our mom when we got back home, and my dad. Now that was, but they're not. I don't know whether, because one, they were going to be, if you disrespected the teachers at school, guess what? They're going to pick up the phone. They're going to call your mama, because they knew that they were going to get on to you, and then you were going to get it again at home. But on the reverse side, if the teacher did something to you that wasn't supposed to be done, then they were on your side. They were just like, okay, you do X, Y, and Z. And so I don't know where to draw, how to reconcile this, and to say, I know it's coming from the parents, but when the parents are hooked on drugs or they're absent, even though they're in the household, they're still absent. What do we do?
Well, that's kind of why we're here, to try to talk about what we can do because we can't fix the whole world, and that's why my focus is always starting with the family and working out toward the community. And this kind of leads into my next talking point, which is helping with decision making. So I saw a father. Actually, I went to the park with a friend of mine. We were just having like a mommy. It was my first mommy play date. So we go to this playground, and we sat out there for probably a good hour to an hour and a half. And it was very refreshing to see that, first of all, we were the only moms there. There were probably about 15 or 20 kids there, and all of them were there with their fathers. And I thought that was extremely refreshing. And we're talking about, all age groups, and they're all races. It was just, they were there parenting their children. Some of them were wearing their babies and pushing strollers around. And there was an incident where a little girl, she was a little bit bigger than the baby boy that I was with. He did something that she didn't like, so she pushed him. And she pushed him, like, off the swing set thing.
Oh, wow.
So her father, he saw what happened, and everybody's crying because, that's what happens when they start getting tired. They all start having meltdowns. And he brought her over, and he told her, he made her explain what happened, and she did. And he was like, okay, now what did you do? And she explained that she got upset and she pushed him. And he went through the whole process of what led to the decision to push him and why it was wrong and what she could have done better in the future. And then he made her apologize.
Exactly.
That's something that's missing, because people are not teaching kids anything. Like you can take any situation that you're in and turn it into a teaching point so that you can teach children how to handle situations when they come up.
Exactly. And that's true.
Go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with you. Go ahead. You said decision making was something.
Oh yeah, decision making is lost on kids these days. Like they don't have any idea what to do when life is happening. They have no clue what to do, how to react, how to respond. So that's one thing that fathers and mothers have a responsibility to do. The way this all started was your father sitting you guys down to rehash your week, and I'm sure he took the time to talk about things that happened to you, how you can handle it. And those things are missing. You have to take that time. Hey, Pumpkin, you have to take that time to take them through point by point how to get themselves through situations in life.
That's true.
I got to take a quick second and take care of the baby. Hold on.
Okay. They have what now? Oh, I missed it. Say it again.
No,
she has to take care of the baby.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and going by what Tiffany was saying, I know I started teaching Bible study when I was doing it before, and what I learned is these kids, no matter how old their parents are, it's just like the parents are absent without teaching their children anything, and then you wonder why they act the way that they act. And what I started to do was I was just like, well, this was a few years ago when I first started doing Sunday school. And the kids were so hungry for attention. And, you had to continue to teach to tell them the same thing every day. And so finally I was frustrated. And I was just like, I come here every day and I tell you all the same thing. I said, do you know I leave school to work to hear? I said, certain things you should know, because we were getting ready for a play. And in my mind, because I didn't have kids, I had you all, and you all were sort of more extraordinary, outside of the box. Maybe because everybody was in, and so we were there. I don't know whether you all were there at the time, but the kids were, and I literally wrote out a script before at work, and I brought it together, and I asked everybody, we need Mary, we need Joseph, we need Moses, because we were going from the beginning to the end of the thing. And finally, I was just like, I'm tired of talking to you guys. I said, I'm tired of talking to you. I said, you know what? I'm just going to just say we're not going to do it. Oh, no. So we got there, because I had to. When I got there, they had locked the church up. So I said, I need you all to stay right here. I'm going to go and get the key. I said, but I'm telling you, I'm done. I said, this is ridiculous. And so I got there. When I came back, you know what they were all doing? They were all standing underneath the street light, reading their plays. And when we got there, I went and I talked to all the teachers, and I told them, and a lot of them were in special ed. I never knew that they were in special ed. I was like that. But they read the script. They knew what they were supposed to do. Oh, I got my dog. I see, you got your child. I got my dog out here fussing at me. And I'm just like, I thought, okay, they're getting it. Okay, I have to get nasty with them, but they had to get it. But what I've learned is the parents have put something in them, but over the time from that point to now, it's totally different because the parents will stand up to the children's wrong behavior. And make it seem like it's okay.
Right, because they're more concerned with you not talking to their child any kind of way than their child behaving in a certain way. And my mom used to always tell us that our behavior was a reflection of hers. And at the time, I didn't care, but now as an adult, I realize that that's true. And when you see your child doing wrong, and you are ready to fight an adult for trying to correct your child,
exactly.
What is that even coming? Like, what is that even supposed to come to?
Yeah, and that's why that police officer snatched that little girl at that desk. Now, you would never take that incident out of her mind. She will be angry for forever because her parents did not teach her how to respond to adults, to authority.
Right.
And if something happens, then, hey, let me handle it, because the parents are only supposed to the teachers are only supposed to go so far. So when you get home, you let me know. And I remember, because Tiffany used to, sometimes she would come home and then and the teacher was like, she didn't bring her her homework. And I'm just like, okay. I was like, Tiffany, I didn't have any homework. I didn't have no homework. And I'm just like, you can't not have homework every day. So what I did was I wrote a note to the teacher, whenever you send homework home with her, you send me a note first. And when she leaves here, and I will sign that note saying she did her homework before she left here, and we checked it. And that's how we had to. But the teachers aren't even doing this anymore.
No, I mean, a lot of that starts at home. Yeah, a lot of that starts at home, and actually having some type of core values. Now, I know when I was in the Navy, we had this thing. It was honor, courage, and commitment. Now, I'm sure the Army has their own slogan, and I know the Marines definitely have their own that they follow. But if you were to teach those core values right there at home and give your children a chance to understand what that is, they can go out and make those good decisions, because is this going to bring your family honor? Is this something that you want to be committed to? Teach them what those things mean so they can go out into the world and make those good decisions. So, and another thing, of course, like you were just saying, the parents aren't talking to the kids when they're coming home. There should be no reason, that the kids are having bad behavior every single day. It's because that parent's not really talking to the child, or not even talking to the teacher. And trying to get an understanding of what's going on with their child in the situation that they're in. Because it could be anything. It could be that the kid is just bored, and they're acting out, because kids are going to be kids at the end of the day, and they're going to mess up, and you got to find out what that child's niche is, because they're going to do what you do, but of course that child's going to have their own personality at the same time. So it's going to take a lot of the parent to understand what that personality is, so they'll always be in the best environment that's going to help them thrive.
Right.
Exactly.
And
that's
I
what
think
you have to do.
I think, Paula, you said this. No, I was going to say, I think you said this, and I don't know if it was during an earlier podcast or just one of our conversations that we had in the past, that you felt like when you were a kid that people didn't see you, like they didn't see you for who you were, and that's so important to as parents, especially when you have more than one child, to see them as individual people, so that you can reach them individually in the way that they need to be reached. because if you miss that point, then you have children with identity crisis, and they got to spend all this time trying to quote unquote find themselves, and it can alleviate a lot if parents take that time to get to know their children.
Exactly.
I'm going to move on to the next point, just so we can keep the conversation going. And this kind of goes back to the example that I gave with me being a drill sergeant. Teach life skills. Teach your children life skills. I can't tell you how many, like I said, 17, 18, 19, all the way to 25-year-old kids come into the military, and they got all their teeth are rotten in their mouth. I have one child, I refer to them as children because they kind of become your kids, and they look to you the same way they would look to a parent. And they told me that they never brush their teeth. Like, that was just wasn't a thing. And, in my mind, I just can't, it blows my mind. Like, how do you raise your child and not teach them that basic thing?
Yes.
I already talked about, personal hygiene, knowing how to do laundry. I had one girl, now she came from an affluent family. She came from a family that had money, and they had housekeepers. She had no idea how to mop the floor. I had to give a class. I had to teach these kids, okay, so you got your bucket, you got your soap and your water, and you got your mop. And I had to go through a whole class on how to do it. Not just technique, but like the basics of how to make it all come together.
Right.
And this parents are just, I got it. Teachers are expected to be teachers and parents, and that's just not fair. Parents, everybody has to work two jobs, and I got it. I understand it, but somebody has to sacrifice somewhere to make sure that these kids are getting these lessons that they need. Because I was watching. There's a show that comes on. I forget which channel, and it's Married at First Sight is what it's called. The premise, in my opinion. The premise is silly, whatever, but it's interesting to see these adults trying to adult, just miserably failing at adulting. You got 20-something people that want to marry, but they don't know how to operate a stove.
Ridiculous.
Right. They don't know how to operate a dishwasher or a washer and dryer to wash and clean their clothes, but they want to be married. And it's like, where are the priorities, and who's raising these kids that they can't do basic things? Right.
And that's true. And because I don't know whether, like I said, they think it's a process of osmosis. They think it's going to gravitate over to them, and they don't even have the decent. They don't even teach them the decency like you all had. Just something to say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. To say what I've found, and these are the adults, right on down to the young children. They'll say, "Well, I don't know." I said, "Well, what is so and so?" Oh, I don't know. We were never allowed in our house to say, "I don't know." I don't know, but I will find out. And so that was something that you got from home, and then it was reiterated when you got to school because the parents made it to be. I remember hearing my mother, she had this thing that she would, it was called a buffalo nickel on her keychain. And so when she came to school, I knew she was there. Whether she came by and let me know she was
I remember that.
Yes.
She had that until she died. I remember that buffalo nickel.
Yes. And I would hear her walk. I was like, my mom is here. And if I was doing something wrong, I knew I would get myself back in order, or I knew she was there, and I knew that everything was going to be okay. But the same token, I remember I got with these kids at school, and I wasn't one that I did not like. I like to be by myself. But, they tell you that's not nice, blah, 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 blah. And so I was with this girl, and we were going through the lunch line, and she decided, you know what, it would be funny, we could just take these forks and spoons and bend them all. And I was like, yeah, that's cool, saying blah, blah, blah. And I've bent a few. And so the principal came and pulled us out of class. And we got there, and it hurt my heart because I wasn't lying, but he didn't give me a chance to lie. He was like, I know your parents. And I know you wouldn't do something like that, Paula. And then he just laid into the other girl, and I just felt horrible. But there was nothing I could do, But that when the parents say you reflect on them, guess what? They reflect on you too. There was so much that we did and got away with just because of our parents. And who were serious. And we do, and now you think you're gonna do it. It's not because my parents aren't there anymore. And sometimes I think about it. Right. I'm just like, if Daddy had been here, he'd have said X, Y, and Z. But he's gone. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why he
gave you those lessons.
Yes.
Right.
He gave you those lessons so that when those situations arose, and that's what you do when your parents take the time to teach you these little things. When something happens, you think in your mind, well, what would my mom do if she was in that situation? And you go by what he or she modeled for you. Hold on, excuse me 1 second. Get out. This dog thinks he's running the show. He's not. With love. Okay.
Yeah. All in love. Get your behind up out of
here. So this next topic we already covered, so I'm not going to beat it down. But teaching them about money early on. And that's something that you said your father did with you, gave you guys an allowance, and then expected you to count for your dollars at the end of the week.
Exactly.
He didn't just give you the money and turn you off into the world. He gave you your money and then came back and went over, what did you do with that money? Yes. Oh, now you're broke? Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but you're not going to get anything else till the next allowance day. You can hang it up.
The next thing is keep them busy with productive stuff. Keep kids busy with productive stuff. So not just keeping them busy so that you don't have to hear them, but keep them busy with things that actually accomplish a task, accomplish a goal.
Exactly.
It goes back into building life skills and decision making. Help children learn, like the grocery list. That's something that you can sit down with your kids. It keeps them busy for a few minutes, and it's productive, and they can actually see the results at the end of the mission.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I'm going to go through.
Go ahead.
I'm going to go through these points quickly, these next couple, because we're getting short on time, and we kind of have hit all these through the course of the conversation anyway. So I'm just going to kind of breeze through them really quickly. So be present. We talked about this in the very, very beginning. Especially fathers, it's not enough to just be in the house. It's not enough to just provide the house. You got to be involved in what's going on underneath the roof.
I agree.
Be realistic about their strengths and weaknesses, and we kind of hit on that here and there. You have to know who your children are, and not everybody's going to be good at everything. We're in this generation where it doesn't matter if you're the best, the all-star, or the kid that never gets off the bench. Everyone gets a trophy. That doesn't teach them anything.
Yeah. I think that's ignorant.
It's crazy, and that's why you have all these entitled. You have all these entitled adults that expect respect when they haven't given any respect. They expect to be treated a certain way when they haven't done anything to earn it. That comes from sitting on the bench for their entire childhood and still getting pizza party at the end of the season.
Exactly.
Right.
So
which is terrible. This is terrible.
It is.
Yeah.
So
I mean, what are you, 8th place? Who gets a trophy for 8th place? I mean,
why are they wasting
laws?
Why are they wasting the fabric on 8th place ribbons? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But I had a friend that actually had that happen to his son, and he actually returned the trophy back. And because you have to learn that losing is really just a part of the game. When you're always stuck in a society that's mediocre and it teaches you that mediocrity is okay, it damages a child even more. So you have to teach these. That's one of those life lessons that need to be taught to these kids, because if they're getting trophies for even being in second place, that's not teaching them to go harder for what they want in life. Period.
Exactly. And you got to realize that, like I said, not everybody's good at everything. You got to find what your children are good at and help them to be even better in those things. And then you got to take their weaknesses and try to help them progress in those things as well.
Yeah.
So that you can build a nice, well-rounded human being.
I agree with that. I mean, that is something that. But you got to be involved, and the parents is just like they don't want to get involved. They don't want to, go in there and go get your lessons, but they don't go back and see whether they've done the lessons. They don't go back and see whether the teacher's even teaching them with it because they haven't talked to them. Or go and play your game. Those games are not doing nothing but bringing up a whole generation of mercenaries. I mean, I was with some guy, and with some child, and he was on there playing the game, and there's some little boy. I mean, he had to be like 7, 8 years old. I was in there, James, I'm in the game. And I was in this place, and this little boy came in there, and I was just like, this is crazy. I don't know how to play. He said, you got to shoot him right. I said, well, how do you shoot him right? And he wanted to shoot him in the head and shoot him in the chest, and he got extra points for that. That's like a real mercenary.
This is off topic, but you said it and it made me think of it. And they stopped advertising this now, but when James and I were coming up and those video games were just starting to get more graphic and more violent, actually a lot of those games were sponsored and developed by the Department of Defense. They know what they're doing. They're raising baby soldiers.
They're raising little cyber war babies. That's what they're doing. Everything is becoming more electronic, and it's going to be at a point where you're literally sitting down in a chair, controlling some type of cyborg, and going off killing people with it. And they're already doing it with drones and stuff like that. So it's already in the process of happening like that.
Yeah, but what you also, because when you're shooting them, blood's coming out of your head. I mean, it's to the point when you see stuff for so long, it doesn't how do you say? It doesn't resonate to you. Something that's, I remember once, I worked at the hospital for a long, long time. And so my mom got me the job there. And I hated it because everybody would say, this is Mary, this is Mary Ann's daughter. I was just like, my name is Paula. Stop saying that. But that my name was Mary Ann's daughter. But I was there, and I was going home one day. I was working in the pharmacy. And I went, and this car hit this man, and he went across the other side of the road, so I pulled over to go back to make sure, because everybody was just passing by him. And I don't know whether it was because I was in the hospital and I saw so much, or it was what I saw on television. And his leg was wrapped around steel pipe in the road, and his bone was sticking out. And you know what? It really did not faze me. And it was just like, something's wrong with that. You know what I mean?
They're desensitizing.
Yes. And so that's the same thing that they're doing with these kids, with these games. And you go in there and you let them play it, and you because they're out of your face, but that's no good.
No, you're right. It's terrible, and it's. I mean, you see it because it brings me to my final two major points for this part of the series. You got people that, first of all, it takes a village. You spoke about speaking up when you see crazy things like people getting long extensions for their babies and acrylic fingernails for a 5 or 6 year old.
Yeah,
it's important to have that auntie presence to reel kids in when the parents aren't standing there. You know what I mean?
Right.
We have a responsibility as parents of these millennials that we're bringing up to not be ready to fight somebody when they correct a child. It's important to have people that are willing to look after your child when you can't be there. I remember one time, I'm not going to pretend like it was my first time skipping school, but it was the first time I taught. So we would have just, cut class. It was like an event. Like the entire neighborhood would be involved in skip school day.
Yeah, so I heard you say that one time, and I'm just like, y'all getting away with some shit, right?
It was very organized. We had a coordinator. So on one particular occasion, we were cutting school. It was like 12 or 15 of us. We had ordered pizza. We were watching music videos. It was epic. Okay, it was an epic skip school day. So,
oh my God.
The house that we were at, the mom had come home early, so of course we all run out and scatter into the wood line and everything. But my neighbor across the street, she saw me, and when I tell you this woman was about 300 pounds and she was a very big woman. She was 300 pounds and about 6'2". She ran me down barefooted to get a hold of me because she saw that I was doing the wrong thing, and she knew that my mother would not tolerate what she saw me doing. And my mother appreciated her. I didn't appreciate it, but my mother appreciated her running me down. I mean, this was a big old lady. And she did her part as part of the village to discipline me because she saw that I was doing the wrong thing.
That's right. I agree with that because people, the thing now is everybody, you need to leave folks, children alone. No, it don't work like that, boo.
Ma'am, why are you fussing? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Because she want to talk. Everybody else talking, she want to talk too. But I'm saying this, and we have gotten, we are like an hour, 4 minutes over the hour. So I want to wrap it up. We're gonna have to start back here to, next week because this is something that really people need to talk about. And I want you all to know that we're closing, and we're gonna return next week, and we're gonna start back where we left off. But when you on the website there, I've got a form there. You can fill it out. Put your what you feel, what you got to say. Put your name and stuff on there. And I'm going to put an RSVP form on there as well, so that we'll pick somebody, and then you all can come in and you can talk with us as we're talking. Down the road, but do leave your comments and let us know what you think and where you're feeling, and whether you agree or disagree. Anything is better. Anything you tell us, it will better us. So don't worry about hurting our feelings. We've been there. We grew up in a Southern household. Your feelings get hurt, you get over it. So, but I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna end my part of it, and I'm gonna turn it over to Tiffany and James. Is that live your life on purpose, live your life knowing, so you'll know where you are. When you have your children, let them know why they do what they do. I had to, when I was with my younger nieces and nephews, because these are the first nieces and nephews, but I remember Madison and Xavier, I teach them consequences. And I remember Madison, I remember her saying, "What's the consequence?" She said, "What's the consequence?" And I was like, consequence means that you're going to have to pay, you're going to have to, one way or the other, whether it's good or bad. When I tell you not to do something and you don't do it from now on, when I'm buying you something and you break it and I ask you to leave it alone, you are going to have to pay those consequences. I'm not buying you anything else. And you got to let kids know there are consequences to their their thing. And we have to be adults and see it and know this for ourselves as well. And when you F up, just say, you don't have to tell your kids you didn't F up, but you can let them know, I made a mistake. I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, but I meant what I said. I meant you to go and sit yourself down, but Mama was a little frustrated. So you go in there and sit your butt down, go and do your homework, and I'm going to go and take a nap, and I'm going to get back up, and I'm going to go over your homework with you. Just explain it to them. Instead of the first thing you want to do is beat them. It don't work like that. And so I'm going to say that, and I'm going to leave it, but I leave you all with God's blessings and our love, and until we meet again, just stay safe. And I turn it over to the rest of them.
Go ahead, James. I'll finish up.
Okay, that's fine. Well, I say what I always say, what I normally say. In this life, we're taught many things, but I challenge you to find what matters most, and that is narcissist. Know your past so you can operate in the present to secure the future that you always dreamed of.
Yeah. All right, and I'm gonna finish up again with 1 Corinthians. Hold on, chapter 1, verse 10. I appeal to you, brothers and sisters, in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, that all of you agree with one another in what you say, there be no divisions among you, and that you be perfectly united in mind and thought. And with that, I leave you, and I say good night and God bless.
Yes, likewise. And I'm going to take that and put it on our first page because I really like that scripture. So we're going to say, we love you, be blessed, and take care. And from this, we will see you next week, and we say good night.
Good night.